Oh, hey, King. Long time no see. I heard you were looking for a budget LPVO. Well, look no further. Old Dad's got the answer. Now guys, I gotta talk about my homies, my friends here of the channel, Badlands Munitions. Based right out of Arizona here in the US of A. No foreign manufacturing here. They make quality 5.56 for plinking, match ammo, hunting, and self-defense. They make 9mm for all the same reasons. Whether you're shooting a match, whether you're shooting for self-defense, or you're just wanting to plink some steel with the homies, Badlands Munitions has you covered. With code 110SAS, guys, you get 10% off. 10% off your entire ammo purchase and some of the accessories available on that website. Guys, it's a small business, small batch ammunition with super high quality control. You can't ask for much more than that. It's made in the USA with USA made components. And any chance I get, I'm gonna plug a homie small business. So check them out and get that 10% off you deserve, King. JD's and Lettleman, welcome back to, I would say, at least the 10th greatest YouTube channel this side of the Mississippi. Guys, budget LPVO Battle Royale. That is what we have in store for you today. A whole brand new mini-series. Each optic has to be under $500. Each optic has to have a base power magnification of 1. The top range is either 8 or 10. We have gathered Arken, Swampfox, Sauer, Vortex, Primary Arms, and Griffin Armament. 6 of the top competing budget optic manufacturers available on the market. Now, gentlemen, I am not that YouTube dude getting checks sent to me in the mail in exchange for a good review. It's not even a good review at that point. It's a commercial. And you're the target audience. They are telling you to consume. Everything that you see here is funded by me. Nobody is sending me free stuff in exchange for me telling you to consume XYZ product. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about these optics, and I am going to get your eyes behind the glass here to help you guys understand where I'm coming from here. I value each and every one of you guys tuning in and watching this and supporting this channel here to take whatever these other YouTube dudes are getting, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and a free product and all this other free stuff to tell you to consume. You're not going to get that here. Everything that you're going to hear from me over this next series is going to be just my own words that are not paid for and not bought. So let's talk about it. Guys, I'm super excited for this one. You know, it seems like for too long, it's just been drilled into our heads. Like, if you need a quality optic, if you want a quality optic, you got to spend at least $1,000. You got to spend at least $1,500, $2,000. For too long, that has just been the standard. If you want good glass, you got to spend $2,000. Now, I'm not saying that you aren't going to get amazing glass for that $2,000 price point, because let's be real, you are. But what if there is something out there floating around, maybe even on this rifle, for $500 or less, that's going to give you the performance level of, let's say, a $1,500 optic? Now that's got my attention. Does it got your attention? Good. I have gathered these optics here and we are putting them all head to head. I'm going to get your eyes behind each optic here in the lineup. We're going to look at the 1 power, the field of view, just exactly how crisp that glass is, and whether or not we're looking through a toilet paper roll or it's like looking out your back window. Then we're going to talk about the max power magnification. All of these optics are either going to be 8 power max or 10 power. I find that's a great sweet spot for an LPVO. 8 power and 10 power really gets you out there. You don't necessarily need 20 or 25 zooms and all the zooms to make good consistent hits at, say, 600 yards. You can absolutely do it with 8 power or even 10 power. Even 6 power in a lot of cases is good enough to get you good accurate hits on IPSC size targets out to 600 and 800 meters. So These guys here, they're all very capable optics, but we need to find out which is the best for your money. Today's episode, we are starting with Vortex Strike Eagle 128. This has been, I would say, the gold standard since pretty much they came out of a budget LPVO. What does that mean exactly? So Vortex manufactures a lot of different optics. You guys know the Razor lineup, most of those starting at least $1,500, some of them pushing over $3,000 to $4,000. Yeah, that's pretty pricey. So when a manufacturer comes out and says, hey, not only do we make stuff for military contracts that cost $4,000, but we also make stuff for the civilian market that is more budget geared. The Vortex Strike Eagle coming right in at that $400 mark, plus or minus a few bucks depending on what day of the week you get it and who you buy it from. The base power is actually very impressive. I have no problem whatsoever using this optic as just a plain old red dot sight. The eye box is pretty forgiving. I think for $500 and less, it's daggone impressive. It really is. The red dot itself, you have your illuminator here on the side. You have a couple of night vision settings. That's pretty cool. And then you also have multiple different brightness settings that you can just dial in. You guys out in the desert, you're going to be thankful for this because it's very bright. It does do a very good job. The reticle, it's not my favorite. It's an MOA reticle. I typically shoot MIL, but we can definitely still use MOA. There's plenty of MOA shooters out there. It's honestly, in my opinion, pick one, learn it, and just forget about it. I think that's the best. Unless you are ranging with your reticle, I mean, it's really ultimately personal preference. If you can shoot, you can shoot. If you can't shoot, you can't shoot. That's all ultimately personal preference. Now, I will say there's a touch of fisheye right in that one power eye box, especially around the edges, but it's not too bad. Honestly, for a first focal plane reticle, I was kind of impressed. I have found just across the board, whether it's $500 optics or $2,500 and $3,000 optics, especially when it comes to LPVOs, the one power eye box on second focal plane optics, I feel they just knock it out of the park. That's not all across the board, but generally, yeah, I feel that they have a much better one power eye box. It looks flat. It's just like looking out your back door versus like, there is something in front of me here and it's an obstruction. It should feel, a good quality optic should feel like it's just a natural extension of your own eye. And that's what you get when you start spending more and more money on these optics. The R&D that goes into these things, it's substantial, absolutely substantial, versus somebody, you know, that sells them a little bit cheaper. While they may be tried and true platforms and it's nothing new or crazy innovative, it doesn't make it any less worth it, potentially, as long as the performance is there. Now, with the Strike Eagle, you have 1 through 8 power, obviously. It does come with this nice little throw lever from the factory. I like that. That makes it pretty nice. It's not super huge to where it's like getting caught up on all of your gear, so on and so forth. But it's also just big enough to get your thumb on there and really make a quick adjustment. I find that the actual transitions from 1 to 8 power, it's pretty smooth. It's got a pretty smooth throw on it. It's not like gritty and clunky and so on and so forth. It does it pretty well. Now, as far as the turrets go, the turrets are capped, meaning you have caps that actually cover it. So essentially, you dial your 0 here and you put the cap back on and you just forget about it. And you just use your reticle to shoot out past XYZ yards, depending on your holds. So I find that cap turrets, I'm not the biggest fan of it. And again, this is very subjective in my opinion. Some people will just shoot off the reticle, and that's totally okay. Some people will shoot off dialing your dope. So the cap turret's not a huge deal. They do look a little weatherproofed here, so that's going to be nice. You do have some gaskets around there, so I don't think it's going to be a huge deal to take this out in the rain. I certainly wouldn't submerge it. In fact, really any of these optics, I would highly advise submerging any of these optics. Weight-wise, it's not too bad. It feels pretty solid, and to be quite frank, it actually feels like a really well-built optic, especially for the price. I was expecting kind of just like super light, chintzy, like, oh god, I can't be too tough on this thing, or else I might snap a turret off or something like that. No, I don't really feel that here with this Vortex, so it feels like a pretty solid optic. It seems well thought out, very minimalist, but also makes sense. It seems like a decent tool. Now, Vortex Strike Eagles, I must say, have been used over in the sandbox and downrange. So you guys, yeah, they're clone correct technically. So that's pretty cool, actually. So there are legitimate SF operators running Vortex Strike Eagles. Pretty cool. I still think that gets mad kudos. Now, this one here, It is made in China. A lot of their higher end stuff, Vortex, is going to be made in Japan with Japanese glass. This guy here is going to be made in China. Actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, every single one of these optics are made in China. We'll get to that point though. I think one of them might be made in Japan, but not yet, not yet. Overall, for 500 bucks, I can't hate on it too hard. I'm very excited to see how this is going to compare against all of these other optics here in the lineup. I'm really, so far, it's impressive optic. For the price, it's very impressive, but we don't know if this is actually the best one or the worst one here in the lineup. So, gentlemen, that is the introduction on the Vortex 128 Strike Eagle. LPVO Battle Royale, this is the first episode. So you guys now tuning in, be sure to watch for the second one. That one comes out the following day. Just like all of the rest of these, they're coming out the following day. Bang, 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 bang. 6 optics, and then the finale. So, gentlemen, say it with me. Run your gun, not your mouth, and be sure to stay tuned on this because you don't want to miss this.